From our experience, the greatest danger to the multiverse, it turns out, is Doctor Strange.
In this video, we are going to find out all about the new Astral Actions. These are actions that are powered by the multiverse, and they have some pretty game-breaking effects, some powers that we have never seen and could only dream of before now. We're going to be looking at every single astral action and finding out more details about a specific few. Let's dive in and find out what's going on in Stellaris Astral Planes. We've touched briefly on astral threads before, but what are they? So conceptually, astral threads is the material that binds the boundaries between dimensions. In areas where these boundaries are weakest, these filaments of existence unravel to the point at which they become tangible objects that can be harvested. So I guess string theory was right, kind of. This unique resource can be put to various uses should you possess the proper technologies and level of attunement to the astral planes. You'll first be able to gather astral threads when you encounter an astral scar, which apparently the devs have already shown us, are minor tears in space-time present at map generation. So astral scars start off the game on the map, but they aren't yet astral rifts. As when discovering other rare resources such as dark matter or rare crystals, you will be prompted to begin researching a new technology, astral harvesting. And we can see here that technology, basically you get the feature Astral Actions, we'll look at what those are in a moment, and you will get to exploit the Astral Threads resource, which is kind of like a string, a weird blue string. This, of course, means that you can begin gathering astral threads before you ever set foot inside of a rift. But what on earth can you do with it? We're getting a new tab in Stellaris, we're getting the Discovery tab. So relics are moving away from the Traditions tab, which I'm pretty sure is where they were, and they're now getting their own tab called Discoveries. In that, we will also have the Astral Actions, so relics and Astral Actions, as you can see here. The devs want to take the opportunity here basically to create a new category on the sidebar. This, as I mentioned, contains relics and astral actions, meaning of course that relics and minor artifact actions have been removed from society management, or traditions, and with the addition of astral actions, more relics and a particular action that can manipulate relics, this apparently made practical sense to do. Another feature the devs have added here is that we can now click minor artifacts or astral threads in the top bar drop down to move immediately to this category. Similar to how you can click the other resources to open the galactic market. That is a massive quality of life improvement. Oh my goodness me, yes. Yes. I wish actually that worked, for example, for research income. You could click on the research income and it would open the research tab. All of that sort of stuff. You click on the influence, it opens the claims tab possibly. That sort of thing would be amazing. Just saying, devs. So what are astral actions? Generally, these are various empire-wide effects that you can activate by spending the Astral Threads resource that we talked about earlier. Some actions are repeatable on a cooldown, while others have a limited amount of uses. These kind of look like relics, basically, except in order to activate them, you don't use Unity, you instead use Astral Threads, and you can have more than one activated at any one time, I would imagine. When you first look here, you don't have many actions you can do at all. It's basically empty, I think. You'll need to attune yourself to the planes in order to master their use. In other words, the more astral rifts you explore, the more actions you will unlock. After exploring 5 astral rifts, you will have unlocked all possible actions. Generally, the higher the attunement level required, the more powerful the action. Alright, let's do a bit of speculation now. I'm going to start from the left. I'm going to go bottom left, and then I'm kind of going to do that from bottom, top, moving left to right. So, bottom left, that one looks like it's got something to do with Astral Rifts. I mean, let's be honest here. That definitely looks Astral Rift related. In fact, I'm pretty sure we talk about that one a little later on in the dev diary. Next up, that is a physics research symbol. I'm assuming that's going to convert astral threads directly into physics output, either a lump sum or possibly a percentage bonus. That is cool. Next up, we have some sort of device which I believe looks like it's sucking the resource out of an astral rift or scar. I'm guessing that provides more astral threads, possibly. After that, we've got what looks like an engine of sorts, maybe. Perhaps that increases sublight speed. Next, that looks to be the symbol for 1500 astral threads of a quantum catapult, I'm guessing. That possibly boosts our quantum catapult range, or maybe the bonus to fire rate goes up for quantum catapults, possibly all in between. Next up at 50 influence and 500 astral threads, that clearly has a hyper relay on it. We actually go into depth on what that one does a little later, so I won't spoil it for now. Next up at 1000 on the bottom, that looks like a wormhole, an Einstein-Rosenberg bridge. That's clearly the image they're going for there. I'm assuming it allows you to create a wormhole. If it does, very cool. Next up, this web-like feature is a dimensional lock. We're going to talk about that just in a minute. After that, we've got clearly something that looks like cloaking is involved. It's a ship half covered. It looks like there's speed involved, but also the line down the middle, the left side looks cloaked, the right side does not. I'm guessing this improves cloaking, or alternatively reveals cloaked ships in your empire. Not entirely sure. After that, this one I've actually got no idea on. It's orange and blue. It kind of reminds me of the Ascension perk, the Unyielding Ascension perk, the one that improves star bases. I forget what it's called, but that kind of reminds me of the Ascension perk to improve our star bases. However, honestly, I've got no idea. Let me know in the comments below if you have any thoughts. Right, on the bottom, on the far right, second to last here, that clearly has something to do with branching realities. I kind of feel maybe what I'm seeing here, or it could be something to do with muons, something very tiny, gluons. I don't know. It's got a subatomic vibe to it, but also possibly either subatomic or you know, universe scale wise. I don't know. These things repeat though. We do have homogeneity at these various levels, so it can be a little odd. It kind of looks like a map of the universe if you zoom out enough, except there's a weird center point. Honestly, no idea. Interesting. Last but not least, this looks like for 1750 we get a fleet of unbidden ships. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here. This either imprisons the unbidden in a bubble, or we get a fleet of unbidden ships. I don't know. Okay? We're also going to take a note here of exactly the actions we can see. Remember these, that will be important later on as we go through now a few of the actions and exactly what they do. This is going to be exciting, ladies and gentlemen. Let's dive in to the new powers you will unlock as Masters of the Multiverse. Before we find out exactly what some of these astral actions do, I want to take a moment to let you know about a fantastic deal that you can get your hands on right now, unless it's November the 4th or later, in which case you probably want to skip ahead 20 seconds. For under €15, you can get Sid Meier's Civilization 6, Civilization 5, 4, and 3 complete editions, along with a couple of DLC and a few more extra Sid Meier's games. Again, all of this all for under €15. I've never seen a better way of trying out the Civilization franchise than this humble bundle. If you'd like to pick it up and support this channel, click the link down in the description below. You can also adjust your donation to choose how much of your purchase you want to go towards this channel, the publishers, the charity, and Humble Bundle itself. This allows you to customize where your money goes. The crazy part is you could support this channel with up to 85% of your purchase if you adjust the sliders, which kind of seems like a bit of an exploit. So first up, we have the Astral Splitting action. I think this might be an Astral action that you get always, all game long, so you can always open up more rifts. Why do I say that? Well, what does it do? It allows us to create an Astral Rift in a random system that we control. We must control a system without any adjacent astral rifts as well. So we have to have one system with all the connected systems to that system having no astral rifts. This has a cooldown of 3,600 days, which is 10 years, and is limited to a total of 4 uses. This means that we can create 4 new astral rifts to explore, assuming of course we have the space. This is an example of an action that has both a limited number of uses and an increasing cost. So the more that we use this, the more astral threads it will require to astrally split and smash open the fabric of reality. The flavor text even says doing this too often would put the galaxy in danger of unraveling entirely. Yeah, we wouldn't want to destroy reality, would we? That would be terrible. Next up, we have the dimensional lock that I mentioned earlier. This lock allows us to, for the first time in Stellaris, prevent movement across wormholes and other bypasses. What does it say? It will allow our science ships, when we use this action, to place one-dimensional lock on any wormhole or L-gate. Once locked, only fleets with our permission may enter. This lock lasts for 10 years. It also has a cooldown of 10 years, so basically, as long as we have enough income, we can run this bad boy forever and completely lock down a wormhole or an L-gate. It has a great advantage though, as we mentioned. We can still pass through it, so we will be able to use the wormhole, but nobody else will. The strategic advantage of this, I mean, it cannot be overstated. This is amazing. Of course, if you have any open border agreements, that will allow those people that have open borders with you to pass through as well. So your allies will also get the benefit of this dimensional lock. This basically means that, let's say you have a troublesome fanatic purifier at the other end of a wormhole. Well, no you don't, unless you want to attack them. Or in PvP, if there's an evil player at the other end of a wormhole, or let's say part of their navy has passed through to your space, you can then lock down the wormhole, i.e. closing the wormhole to the beta quadrant, and trap some of those fleets in your space and leave some of the other fleets back in their home space. Of course, they can go into FTL retreat, but you know, the advantages here and the possible tactics you can use with a dimensional lock, I think there's lots of them. I've gone through a few, but I think there's quite a few more. It's important to note that this will not work on the Shroud Tunnel Nexus or the main L-Gate cluster. It can only block links between two exact points in space, so I think it also doesn't work on gateways, but you don't need it to work on gateways. Gateways should belong to you unless the system falls outside of your control. Next up, we have Hyper Relay Insight. Before I go into what this does, I want to preface this action by saying don't get too excited about the implications of seeing it. Yes, this was an action we did not see on the previous list of 10 Astral Actions. But no, that does not mean there are more than 10 Astral Actions, and it doesn't mean that we get randomized Astral Actions based on which Astral Rifts we explore. Instead, when we actually use this, after we've completely used it, it changes to a different type of Astral Action. That could also be the case with some of the other actions we've seen where after use they become a different action. So this grants us plus 50% tech progress on Hyper Relays. This means that we no longer have to roll and deal with the RNG of trying to get Hyper Relays in the mid to late game. Sometimes if you're very unlucky, you could have all the technology prerequisites, but simply not roll Hyper Relays for ages, leaving you, from a transportation point of view, very far behind your neighbors, your friends, and unfortunately your enemies. You'll also notice that there are a few actions that give bonuses to features from the Overlord expansion. Yes, this means that having Astral Rifts and having Overlord is a better overall experience, and without Overlord, you're going to miss out on some of the features of Astral Rifts. This is a bold new choice for Stellaris. Usually, they don't include crossover features in DLC. What I mean by that is you don't have to own another DLC to access some of the features from your main DLC. At least not in release. They've added some features into DLC via the custodian team, or they've added it in the back end, but they've not usually released DLC requiring you to have other previous DLC. This specifically affects Hyper Relays and Quantum Catapults. Yes, that thing earlier that I said probably had something to do with Quantum Catapults. I'm pretty sure it has something to do with Quantum Catapults. If you've not yet researched Hyper Relay technology, this of course gives you a boost and allows you to start doing so. And once researched, this action becomes something entirely new: flash forging Hyper Relays. And if you're enjoying this video, please flash forge that hyper like button. What does flash forging actually do? Well, for 50 influence and 500 astral threads, we will be able to instantly build one hyper relay at 0 cost. Yes, you heard me correctly. instantly build a hyper relay at zero cost. This has a cooldown of 900 days, which I'm fairly sure is longer than the build time of a hyper relay, but it's not that much longer. So this is a very cost-effective way, as long as you have the influence and the astral threads, of getting hyper relays up if you can't afford the alloy and crystal cost. This action is unique in that it is the only one that costs another resource in addition to astral threads. Like a dimensional lock as well, this action is infinitely repeatable. The developers are only detailing a few of the actions available to us, and they're saving the rest to be discovered as we play the game. We may have already guessed their icons, and some of them we may not have. Let me know again in the comments if you've got any ideas about some of those astral actions. I'd love to hear your thoughts and speculation. Next week on Thursday, we will find out more about the new Origin and the 4 new Civics that are coming with Astral Planes. If you've enjoyed this video, and you'd like to find out more about the new Astral Planes DLC, some info that wasn't released in this dev diary, then click the video on screen now.